And when I was a waitress in this coffee shop, and he was the singer, and he had a sick throat one night, and he asked me to make tea for him, and I was like, hi. He's like, hey. I was like, do you want some tea? I said, sure. And I was like, I sing. He's like, mm-hmm. But we ended up being very good friends and writing songs together. He got signed to a record label the same time I got signed to a record label, and we both toured forever, and we both had a week off at the same time. So we decided to take a trip to Mexico to go songwriting, which I thought was a bad idea because, you know, touring you drive all the time, and I didn't want to drive on my vacation. But he talked me into it, and we start driving, and it was just going to be like a 3-hour drive. 15 hours later, we were lost. It was like God knows what time of morning, almost light out. We're driving down this like dirt road that's eating our car alive as we keep going. And we see a sign that says Rosarita's Deluxe Resort. I was too young to know any better. So we head for Rosarita's Deluxe Resort. It wasn't that deluxe. It was these 3 plywood shacks that were kind of huddled together, and they were all locked. Everything was closed. So we broke in. But Steve said that it wasn't really like breaking in because it wasn't very hard to break in. So I didn't really feel bad about it. So we sleep there, and we wake up the next morning, and we're in this beautiful bay. It's gorgeous. It's on the Sea of Cortez, blue water, beaches. I'm in paradise. And there's absolutely no one around. It's like a deserted town. Like the entire town is deserted, which we think is very convenient and not at all strange. And we start singing on the beach, starting to write songs, and along come these 4 guys walking in the distance, and they're all black uniforms. It turns out they were police with these guns in their, not in holsters, of course. They had to be stuffed into their pants. I still don't get that attraction, but we said, what do you guys doing here? They said, oh, we're just, watching the empty town. I was like, makes sense. Not strange at all. And we said, do you know where we can go whale watching? They're like, what? I'm like, well, we want to go whale watching here and stuff like that. They're like, well, you can come out with us. We're about to go out in the water, and we have a boat. We're like, cool. So me and Steve get in with these 4 or 6 federales, and I'm out there going, doo-doo-doo, this is great, doo-doo-doo. And I'm like, so why are you guys here anyway? And they're like, well, we're here in a drug bust. Right. So you're actually here on patrolling right now, and we're in the boat with you while you're doing that? Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm like, is it dangerous? And this guy goes, he lifts up his shirt, and his ample belly plops out. And he has these 3 bullet hole scars, like, that have all healed up. They must have been old. But he's quite proud of them. He's like... I'm like, chicks don't really dig that. I mean, like, with your boyfriend, he's, he has a scar, and you're like, honey, how'd you get that scar? But it's not because, like, we really like the scar. It's because we don't want to get a complex. So this guy thought it was all sexy. He was all into his little 3 scars, and I'm like, that's nice. Put it away. And we keep going, and all of a sudden, they start screaming at one another, yelling very loud, very excited. They point in the distance, and there's a boat speeding towards shore at high speed. And they have me stand up. And I was sitting on this bench that very conveniently doubled as a storage unit for automatic weapons. And they offered me one. And I was like, no. Gracias. And me and Steve are like looking at each other like... That was how I looked at him. Then he looked at me like this. Like that. And we start speeding towards them, and there we are, like, chasing these drug smugglers, and I'm like, great, hostage time. We get to the shore. These 4 guys start running for the trees. Our guys jump out, overtake them, throw them in the sand. They punch one guy, they knock him on the ground, they handcuff him. I'm starting to feel better at this point. I'm like, that's right. Hey, you're not so tough now, are you? And they get this guy to narc and tell them where these supposed drugs are. So me and Steve suddenly become very brave, and we think we should follow and watch the whole thing go down. So we get out of the boat in our little tourist shorts, baseball cap, and we follow the guy. There's a big rock on a hill. They move the rock out of the way. There's a big hole, and inside of this hole is about 1,000 pounds of marijuana, of pot. And I don't smoke pot, and neither does Steve. But Steve is Catholic, so he likes to kind of just stand next to anything illegal. It sort of gives him a special high, all its own. So his eyes are like this big, and he's like... I'm like, calm down. And at great expense to his own health, he helps carry the pot. These very heavy bags, he insists. Back to the boat. So here he and I are carrying these big potato sacks of like weed going. We get it all loaded up and we start headed, back towards the shore, and these cops are like, there's going to be, a party. Because we've been here staked out for a month, and we finally got him. You guys are good luck. You must come to the party. I'm like, I bet there's going to be a party. Mm-hmm.